You're good. Okay. All right, we'll get started being at 6:01. Say the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Naomi won't be with us tonight, but we still have a quorum, so we'll be there. I'm not aware of any changes to the agenda.
Nope. No changes.
If there's no changes, I'm going to look for a motion to accept the regular agenda as is.
Motion to accept the regular agenda.
Okay, Sarah makes a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Jeff does a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Consent agenda, any changes to that that we need to be aware of? Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion to accept the consent agenda as is.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Jeff makes a motion, Stephanie does a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. City Council special meeting minutes from September 29th. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be in there?
I know, motion to approve.
Okay. Stephanie makes a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Sarah does a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meetings from October 2nd. Any corrections or additions there?
I'll make the motion to approve that.
Jeff makes a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
That's a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The special minute meetings from October 3rd. Any additions or corrections there?
Nope, motion to approve.
Sarah makes a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Jeff does a second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, let's go. Public comment period. Anybody got anything you want to chit chat about tonight? Going once, going twice. All right. Go on to the sheriff's update. Find out what's been going on here lately, right?
I was trying to go through everything. It was a busy month the way it looks.
In a good way, right?
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Okay.
Biggest thing I take away, leashes for dogs. We got a ton of dog calls again last month. One again today. I've started to step up when I was on nights. Now that I'm on days, I already did some parking enforcement on the day side of it as well, preparing for winter time. Just help with snow removal and that kind of stuff. So yeah, as you can see, the parking complaints are the number 2 thing from last month. So that's my biggest takeaway from what I've seen. Nothing that's of any concern. Just a reminder as far as the parking and the animal stuff. So.
I know I've seen some of that a little bit more around too, or there's, like even in our area in Lost River, there's dogs running around. So yeah,
Yep.
something we'll have to keep an eye on, because I mean, if it's gonna start getting to be where we're gonna have more of that, we'll probably have to look at that a little deeper.
Well, I mean, we already have the animal ordinance, so the sheriff's office, the way we've typically been enforcing that is the first time's kind of a verbal warning, second time's a written warning. Third time's a $50 citation under Cass County Animal Ordinance. Second and subsequent times within a 12-month period is actually a B misdemeanor with mandatory court, so.
Right.
Can we provide any assistance? Can we maybe post that?
I'm ready to do it right now.
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
We have seen an unbelievable amount of lost dog reports, and my
Yeah.
dog got out, my cat got out. I think it would be helpful.
Some are repeat offenders that we know, that I know personally. Same thing with just dogs running out on, they take them out of town and run them along 81st Street, which is a terrible road to run a dog on to begin with because it's dizzy.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's not in town, Cass County in general has an animal ordinance for the entire county, which is cats, dogs, anything like that. I had a dog get hit a couple of years ago, more rural West Fargo, but the owner was upset that our wasn't arresting the gentleman over his dog, and it unfortunately ultimately died, but I was, like, you're running your dog on a gravel road at dusk when the sun was setting in the person's eyes, so.
If the dog is attached to a leash, is that legal?
If you're running it with a vehicle, I guess, as far as my take on the ordinance goes, the way I read it, it would be legal, so, you know.
I used to do that, and I was approached by one of the owners out here that said, "You can't run your dog out here." I said, "I've got a 30-foot leash here."
If it's on a lead and it's can be controlled, I think that meets the animal ordinance, yeah.
Interesting. I will say that I changed my ways and I haven't gone back that route because the owner had an issue with it.
Yeah.
So I found some place that was a lot quieter, but thank you.
I know something else along the dog ordinance or the leash thing too. It's like, I know people have gone running around town and dogs will come up and growl at them as they're running by and they're not on a leash, so. Again, it's kind of one of those things too, we're probably gonna have to pay attention to that, because the last thing I want is for somebody to get bit, you know?
Yeah, and that's the main thing, is it's
Yep.
safety for the people and the animals,
Right.
just like I said, after
Yep.
getting hit or them getting into fights.
Right.
As far as I know, I've had the underground fence argument made, the electric fence underground, but that, as far as I interpret the ordinance, does not meet the ordinance.
Right.
So that can fail, batteries die, and they're able to get out, so.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think what I've seen since day, just tons of traffic complaints. When I'm working 6 to 4, I've been basically picking an area that's been of concern, and I'll go and do traffic for at least an hour or two in the morning around the commute times. I've done 64th already on the east side of the new roundabout, on the west side of the new roundabout several times actually, not just in the morning. I've done by the school, the high school, haven't really hit up Main by the elementary yet, but there's tons of different traffic complaints where we're getting complaints from citizens.
You're gonna get more of them as soon as Wall opens up. So it's gonna turn to a drag strip, so just be aware of that.
Yeah, so no, just, people can do their best to help me out and slow down a little. Going 45 versus 35 for a mile, you're gonna save yourself about 5 seconds, so.
Yep.
It doesn't save you much time in that short distance, so.
It doesn't, but people have been, complaining all summer about that road not being opened up, so when they get on there, it's, just know how it's gonna go.
64th on the west side there's been some high speeds over there, so. There's been some, wow, North Dakota, big tickets handed out, $20 versus 10.
Yep. All right, anybody have any questions, any other stuff?
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate it, man, thank you.
I'll hang out for a little bit, and then we got our patrol meeting.
Yep, got it. All right, next up, Jace, you've got something.
Pull back to us some reference here. Okay, so the application that's in front of you guys tonight is for a variance request for 709 4th Street East. The applicant's requesting a variance to pave their entire driveway, their property. Horace City Code 2-0119 requires all commercial driveways to be 7 inches thick, no more than 36 feet wide at the sidewalk line. 2-0199 119 also goes on to say that upon approval from the city engineer, the driveway may be constructed to a maximum width equal to 1/2 of the width of the lot. The applicant has noted that the driveway has existed for some time. The applicant has recently torn up the pavement on the property and relaid it all out again. And from what I understand and checking with our project manager who controls our right-of-way permits, that there was not a right-of-way permit that was provided with this application.
We do have a permit.
From what we gather, that
No. It was ripped up. Maybe that's the guy that stopped by. He goes, no, get a permit. Well, assuming concrete guy did something, no. So we stopped. It was supposed to be poured that day. Went and got the permit. Permit is in hand. We do have a permit. Before we poured.
Gotcha. All right. So with that, we brought this forward as a variance request to the Planning and Zoning Commission on September 26th.
The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing then to review the application and receive testimony and provide recommendation to the City Council. Staff's recommendation on this one was a recommendation of denial, and that's partially two reasons why. The first, the work was already done before variance request was brought forward. The second, while it could be argued that a dimensional standard purpose of this is included, the bulk of the request lies outside of the land use ordinance, which by definition of a variance is outside of a variance request. So the jurisdiction of the Planning and Zoning Commission to realistically make a recommendation of approval didn't exist. The end result is this actually most likely needs to be a council conversation of whether or not we allow the driveway to continue as it has existed, or does it come back into compliance? And that's going to become, like I said, a council decision that's going to happen there. The Planning and Zoning Commission, as a result, recommended denial for the request based on how I just stated that. I don't know, Lucas, if there's anything else we want to add to that or not, but
Yeah, I guess
applicant
another thing
has
that came up
opinions, but-
during the planning commission discussion was the eventual continuation of what road is that?
4th Street East
4th Street,
through the Sparks addition to the south.
meaning the city has that development that's going to be coming before it, and that street is potentially gonna go all the way up. So the city needs to think about what kind of improvements are gonna result from that street. I don't know, you know, from an engineering standpoint, if that's gonna get improved to curb and gutter, or if it's gonna get improved to something else. But the issue there is that you've got all that concrete and asphalt then within the city's right of way.
So is that down on the bottom of the screen there where those 4 vehicles are parked? Is that what that's?
It'd be this one right here.
So this has already been poured or it's in process?
No, that is poured because it was already ripped up. So with talking to them, I'm like, well, we're trying to run a business out there. We'll have to go through the things we went through, so it is poured. It was pavement before, like we didn't, that's what it was.
It always.
Sorry, do we want to open the public
What-
hearing?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Yep, let's open up for the public hearing so we get that on record.
Formalities, sorry. Just asking questions.
So the footprint of what you currently poured was the same footprint that had always been there?
Exact same footprint.
Okay.
And the permit, you said you got, do you have the date in which you got the permit?
It was the exact, I mean, I know it was the day it was poured because that was when the big happenstance, the concrete guy actually tried to turn down the curb stop and sprung a leak. So then everybody came over there and that's when this whole hubbub started.
When it
So,
started?
Same
So,
time.
Before or after the Planning and Zoning Commission held their meeting?
No, it was after. So this was all same day. If you want me to tell the story of the whole thing, I sure can. But, so there's a big, that's all been pavement. That was all torn out at the same time 3 years ago.
Yep.
Permit approved.
Yep.
The whole thing, all at the same time. What happened was right where that middle vehicle, there's a curb stop right there.
Yeah.
And when they went through and replaced all the curb stops, they cut a 10-by-10 hole and left it. It was just dirt, so it sinks, so you couldn't park there. So that was whatever, early in the spring. I keep calling KPH. I actually called the same city guy several times, and I'm like, I need my parking spots back. I need that patched. And at the last time we called him, he just said, well, you have to talk to KPH. I'm like, well, I don't, well, whatever. I guess I work with KPH every now and again. I'll talk to KPH. So I call him. He's like, yeah, we'll get over there as soon as we can. On and on it goes until the next round because they had already done every other round. So I was missing 2 parking spots. How this came about was I finally, screamed at him enough that I wanted it fixed. He sent the guy over to patch it. Same day he goes to patch it. And we had talked in the past about redoing that concrete.
Sure.
Over the years, it's just always too busy, never happens. And he sent a concrete guy over to patch an asphalt hole. So the guy comes up to me and he goes, and this is Blake from Outdoor Concepts,
Yep.
and he goes, well, let's just rip this whole thing out and put concrete in. And I'm like, yes, let's do it. He didn't tell me that you can only, by code, rip half out at a time. Like, I didn't, because we did, and I never thought to ask the question because just to the south of there, we did that whole thing at the same time 3 years ago under full approval, so it didn't, that part there did not throw up a red flag. So that's how that whole thing came about. So I'm like, whatever, I want it fixed, I want my 2 parking spots back, ripped it all out, whole hubbub, and then we went through all this process.
I know how limited the parking is there because I've been over to your business several times. You've done some work for me. And I know that it's extremely challenging to find a parking spot in the
Yes.
middle of the day with trucks coming in and everything else. As a customer, whether it be me or any other person in this town or somewhere else, trying to patronize this business is a challenge, as it sits, let alone if we were to minimize the size of the parking lot. Let's talk a little more about what's going on with the future road and the future extension. I mean, it's already poured, it's there, one way or another, it's gonna be cut or whatever, and does it hurt anything if it's left there until such time as those improvements move forth?
No, and that's the tough thing with this one, is it was there before, and then it's because it all got ripped up, and the whole discussion we're having here is whether it's grandfathered in or not. And because it was more than 50%, then technically it should comply with the zoning.
It should.
Or with the ordinance, before it gets done. And so really, we're talking about 36 or 40, I think it ends up being 43 feet. So it's really just this chunk right here.
Well, it would have to be some out of each side, because my door is like right in the middle.
Oh.
So, you mentioned that last time, I didn't correct you, I'm sorry, but
No
like
worries.
this is our loading door, so I'd have to have access straight in and out of that semi.
So essentially, his driveway can be 43 feet wide, per the ordinance.
How are you gonna get a semi in and out of there? You're
Nothing's
not.
easy back there.
What's your long-term plan?
Long-term, so the rest of that block is also ours, common ownership in it, so there's 2 other businesses that operate on that side, Galaxy Glass and Midwest Ironworks, and the long-term plan is Midwest Ironworks is leaving the block, and then it'll just be 2. It
Is
still
that
doesn't
gonna-
take account, the hope is that we can stop parking in the center of that, the east parking lot.
Yeah.
And so semis have room to get around and do their whole thing, but taking away 4 more parking spots won't help me to alleviate that, I guess, but.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I mean, is the long-term plan gonna alleviate this, or?
I
is
think
there a bigger
eventually,
problem?
once I get rid of, I think it's 2 years, and then Midwest Ironworks leaves. We'll go on a different site, and then once that happens, hopefully that kind of frees up some other space. But, trying to grow.
The main issue here too is staff and the planning commission are pigeonholed in being able to make a decision on this one.
I
And that's why it
understand.
was kind of the ultimate thing is, it's gotta be the city council that makes the decision on what to do here, because staff's tied with what the ordinances say and don't say, and the planning commission makes a recommendation based off of the information that staff can provide them. So, end of the day, it's city council that needs to make that decision, and I mean, I think the main question is the one you asked, what happens in the future? What are we gonna do with all the concrete? And I know that it's not all subject to this conversation right now, but the concern going forward is there's a lot of concrete that was approved in the city's right-of-way. What's that gonna look like when the future road gets connected?
And could you just clarify, you said you had a permit?
We do have a permit.
Okay, and so the city right-of-way permit, is that what you're referencing, or you're referencing a different permit?
Whatever the only permit we needed, and
That's
I
required.
think I might have misspoke. I think they were gonna pour it, they poured it in 2 sections. So I think he poured this section, and before they poured the stuff that got thickened, it was supposed to be thickened and blah, 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 which they told me they were doing correct, which they weren't going to do correct. We stopped this, so this didn't get poured, got the permit. They actually had to correct that and dig that out to city specs, which was another inch or whatever.
Yep,
7
7 inches.
And so they did that all the way across, and so like permit before all of it, no, that's not, like I think they had already poured the front half, but before the city portion of it, yes,
Yes, permit?
and inspected.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions, guys? I know, Jason, I know you guys are kind of pigeonholed on this one.
No,
so
and this is
I understand why.
a vehicle really to get it to council, and that's where our recommendation, I gotta go with what our ordinance says.
I
It's
know.
whether it's existing or not, when you hit that 50% threshold for non-conforming, that's a point where it gets brought up. So in order for this to go outside of the realm, unfortunately, it's a council decision that's gonna make it, so that's where you're getting a recommendation of denial from staff and the commission, just because that's not within our wheelhouse to do.
So something I just want to note is, I checked with Joel, I haven't heard back from him, just so you know, I tried to text him and just find out. And my understanding of the situation is that the right-of-way permit was not issued because of this issue. So I don't know how they would have been able to issue a right-of-way permit.
So
for
I've
that,
never
but-
actually seen a permit,
Yeah,
my.
it was applied for.
But no, well, I guess, I don't know.
And that's
This
what
is
I
my
was
brother
asking.
telling me, and I talked to the
Yeah.
guy on site that inspects it, and
Yeah.
he told me that we were good to go, like as far as the permit ways, but he says, your variance is not good, you'll have to go through that. And I said,
Yeah.
okay, I understand that now, but I'm still gonna continue to pour it. So,
And it
you,
could-
maybe you're right, I've never actually physically looked at a
it
permit,
could
but
have
I
been-
wouldn't look at it.
It could have been for the driveway up to a certain width, and then it was poured for the whole area. So it might have been able to be issued for the proper width, and like I said, it was done.
And I want to be clear, they didn't pour any additional from what they previously had. They tore out what was previously there and simply replaced it.
Correct,
You didn't widen it, you
Nothing.
didn't, so something was already there previously.
yes.
And the curb stop that's there now, that is currently functioning, is that right?
It was, right, so I'm glad because it wasn't installed properly, so when they
Yeah.
turned it, it popped out.
Okay,
KPH came, redid the whole thing that same day, done deal, and then when we got what I was told as the go-ahead from the guy that came and looked at it,
Yeah.
it was 4 or 5 days later.
so it is working, that is.
Yep.
that is my quote.
Yeah, we have one.
Sticky.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but
It's not ideal, but, and honestly,
being you put it back the way it was,
yeah.
Kenneth's cover, I'm like, well,
I just assumed that was because I asked in the other meeting if the rules were the same when we did the other side, and they said, yes, those rules, I think that's what they said, right, that the rules were in place back then, which was 3 years ago, and that whole to the south parking lot was all pavement as well, but I don't know if that was put in properly either, so it was all starting to break up, which is why we did the south one all at once.
Yep.
And so that part, I did not know any different. I wish my concrete guy would have.
what do you guys think?
If it's the way it was prior to this, and
Yeah.
all you're doing is just fixing it, and as long as we have a working curb stop, I don't have a problem with it.
I was gonna
I
say, I
mean,
think
we'll have to readdress it in 2 years once, or 2 years or less, once we start working on the subdivision below it, but other than that,
yeah, I almost think this one can be grandfathered. Being there's been no additions to it, but.
I agree with that. I will make a formal request that before any additional work is done on any of the other lands that you own or intend to own in the future, that you come to the city and meet with us first.
Yeah.
So that we're not in this situation again.
Well, I wish I would have poured the remaining 3 years ago when I poured, or 5 years ago when I poured the rest, because it doesn't sound like I'm going to get that all in concrete like I want.
Come talk to us.
Will do.
We're not unreasonable, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay. I'm not opposed to grandfathering. I have no issues. Stephanie, do you have any issues?
I don't have any issues either.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Any other comments from the audience on this one or anything? All right, if not, then I'm gonna close the public hearing. So if we're all in agreement here, somebody wanna make a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the variance.
Okay, Sarah makes a motion, can I get a second?
second.
Jeff does a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Jace, you got the next one.
Thank you for coming.
Yep,
Thank you,
thanks.
guys.
Travel north here. So the next application in front of you is another variance request. The applicant's requesting a variance from the required front yard setback of the residential estate zoning district in order to construct an addition to an existing garage. The RD zoning district requires a 50-foot setback from the front property line. Currently, the principal structure sits approximately 32 feet from the property line, and the new addition is proposed to sit around 34 feet. The lot in question is Lot 1, Block 1 of Ashwood Third subdivision. Ashwood Third was approved by the City of Fargo in 2002 as the development existed within City of Fargo's extraterritorial jurisdiction at the time. The home was then constructed in 2003, and then following some land grabs between the municipalities, the property in question was then annexed into the City of Horace in 2008. So typically with variances, costs and preferences are not factors that are included within determining a hardship or practical difficulty. However, in reviewing this, and the Planning and Zoning Commission agreed to a 5-0 vote, that the hardship may have arose from the fact that the property was developed under different jurisdiction standards, which would have required the placement of the septic field or drainage field and the septic tank to be in a specific location. And so in this property, the septic tank is sitting roughly around, sorry, we shifted on here, backwards of the house. So in order for them to meet the ordinance of a 50-foot setback for the addition, they would have to relocate their entire septic system. So for this one, this is a recommendation of approval from staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, again, based on the fact that the standards this was built under dictated where the site improvements were on the property, which would then create a physical hardship on the property that wouldn't allow them to meet the setback of the time. Additionally, the house is already at 30 feet or 32 feet as well.
I'll open the public hearing on that one now. To me, this looks like it's pretty simple. This was under another jurisdiction when it started, correct? This was under Fargo's rules, and so kind of got that. And I could see the hardship thing because moving a septic system isn't an easy thing anymore like it used to. I shouldn't say used to be, but 30 years ago it was a little different ball game than it is now. So, I don't know, do you guys, any questions or real concerns about this one? Yeah, I don't really either.
If there's anything
Sarah?
from the public.
I have nothing to add. It's
Yeah.
No, we're not gonna make you move your septic system to
Yeah.
meet some new rules.
No.
Please enjoy your property.
So, with that, unless you got something else you want to talk about, all right, I'm gonna close the public hearing. Somebody make a motion to
Make a
accept.
motion to accept.
Jeff,
I'll second.
Stephanie does a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Jace, you got the next one too.
Next one, all right, so the next one is another public hearing, this time for a rezone. The applicant is requesting a rezone of lots 1 through 11, Block 4 within Lost River 7th Edition. According to the applicant's representative, the purpose of the application is to reduce the setback requirement of these lots to save trees in the shelter belt on the south side of Dogwood. No lot sizes are proposed to be adjusted with this application, and the proposed district for these properties is compliant with the future land use map designation. Lot 7, Block 4 is currently under construction or just received occupancy, I believe. On September 26, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing for this one and echoed staff's recommendation to the tune of a 5-0 vote to recommend approval of the rezone request. And I'll just pull up an aerial so you guys can kind of see what's going on with this one. Essentially, they built the first house, that Lot 7, Block 4, and if you have been out in the Lost River 7th area, this house is directly adjacent to the existing tree row that's out there. And so this is the applicant's attempt to preserve as much of that tree row as possible and at least provide the new owners some sort of backyard, so cutting down the tree rows is not like their first resort. And it's kind of difficult to see with the picture, but there is a pretty nice tree row that exists here that was for the most part left unharmed, but by upzoning from R4 to R6 at least gives them about a 10-foot relief in their setbacks to provide a little additional
So they're not
space.
actually changing the lot size?
We're not changing the lot,
just
there's no
requesting a
replat.
zoning change to save the trees?
Correct.
Well, that's beautification of our city in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Brock, are you here for that
Yeah,
purpose?
that's what I'm here for, yeah. I don't have anything to add other than, there was 2 lots, or I think it was Designer Homes has, and they are in support of this as well.
Yeah, in your packet, there's a letter from the builder that owns the other 2 lots as
Yeah.
well. or email, I guess I should say. And
Did I open a public
also.
hearing for this?
Not
I was
yet.
just gonna ask.
Yeah, open a public hearing. No. But yeah, no, as far as preserving the trees, I get that, 'cause we've walked back there a lot. It's a nice area, so.
Comments from
Yeah.
anyone?
Anybody?
I have nothing against this.
I don't either. No, I think it's a good idea.
I'm sorry, can I ask, we're future occupants actually on block 3 in Lost River, so with the current lots, is it single-family homes that's currently planned on those?
Mhm.
Okay, so the rezone would not include like the townhome or
Nope.
anything like that?
I mean, that is technically a permitted use, but the development itself has relatively strong CC and R that dictate the architectural control of that,
Okay.
so I wouldn't be
Our
concerned.
builder gave us the impression that there's a possibility of an apartment building going up with this rezone, so that was one thing I just wanted to come and kind of
Would-
clarify.
No,
Doubt that
R6?
back there.
No.
No.
Okay,
yeah.
No.
fantastic.
This is, yeah, it's 100% a dimensional standard change than it is anything lot size, anything use. The use of the, or intention of the property to be used as would still be single-family detached residential.
So long story short, they're just trying to adjust the setbacks so that they're gonna change the placement of the home on the lot so that they can have a backyard.
Sure.
That's all they're doing.
We understand, that's why we're building up there, is
It's
We love
beautiful.
it. We love the beauty out there.
The trees out there are gorgeous, the wildlife is gorgeous. I mean, this is a good thing.
Yes, okay, that's one, I just wanted to clarify, because our builder, he just said, "Eh, maybe you want to hear a little bit more, make sure that they're not changing, like, the density per lot."
That's good advice.
Yeah, yeah, so.
Yeah, okay. Anything else on this one? Otherwise, I'm gonna close the public hearing. All right. Somebody want to make a motion then to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Jeff makes a motion. Can I get a second?
1 second.
Sarah does a second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Motion carries. All right, Jace, you got the next one. You're the highlight of the evening
Last
here.
one, and then I'll stop talking for
All
a
right.
little bit. Okay, so this, I'll just pull up start with an aerial of this one. So this is something that we haven't dealt with too often, but within our parking ordinance, we do offer a series of basically required parking minimums that a certain type of use has to hit. Within the ordinance, there is language then that goes into if the applicant or future applicant can provide through the engineering or transportation engineer's manual or anything that shows that a reduction in parking is warranted or could be done, they have the ability to apply for that, which is then done via resolution by the city council, which is what this is in front of you. So the applicant for this one, based on what they're proposing, a health club, which could be a gym, any kind of establishment like that, and restaurant, per our ordinance would require 96 total parking spaces. What they're proposing based on the engineering transportation manual is a reduction from 96 down to 55 parking spaces onto this lot.
So that lot shows how many parking
This
spaces
is
right now?
55 shown on this one.
Just
So-
curious, how would you fit 90-some spots on that lot?
Which is where the request for
Right,
reduction
that's
is
why I'm
coming.
looking at that,
Right.
like, wow, that's,
So in talking with them, really the reduction of this is kind of key to getting this project off the ground. I mean, myself personally, just in my own practice of planning, I'm not a big fan of overly parking sites. Just, it's expensive, they're expensive to maintain, and for examples like this where you might not have the largest of lot, it can ruin it for the ability for someone to do that. With this being a private, commercial thing, there is parking elsewhere throughout the development if overflow is needed. However, they are using the transportation engineer's manual. I apologize if I'm saying that incorrectly, but to justify that 4.3 spaces per 1,000 square feet of building would be enough to satisfy the use of this property.
And were we provided with the information from the manual?
Not from the manual itself, just in form of a resolution that dictates where the wording was from.
So, I guess maybe this question isn't completely on point, but wouldn't this something that would go through planning and zoning for design review and like be a variance request that would come to us? I guess it seems like we're not following the normal process.
We are following the process that's laid out in our ordinance.
This wouldn't be a design review?
No.
Have we
Not
ever
yet.
reduced,
So
have we
the-
ever reduced parking requirements before?
Not since I've been with the city, but we also haven't had any, well, at least since I've been here, we haven't had any requests to do so. We've had some, and this is where it breaks down. So the ordinance, if you're doing a parking reduction, goes to a resolution with the city council. If you're doing a shared parking agreement, it's done at the design review time with the planning and zoning commission. So we've had shared parking agreements. A lot of the properties just that front County Road 17 in Lakeview Heights have done shared parking agreements that accommodate for peak times or peak hours of when parking is available. But since I've been here, we haven't done a parking reduction, and I actually asked.
We haven't
this-
really had to because we haven't really had
Right.
anything like this.
I've asked the city attorney the same question because in my mind it didn't make a lot of sense, but.
Give me an exact location of this,
Yep.
because I was at an establishment
Straight south
fairly
of
new
Roseville.
in our community recently, and I was rather disgusted that I couldn't find a parking spot.
So it'd be this one right here. So you got the high school, our middle school, shops at Horace or
76. and
76 and
Lakeview.
Lakeview would be.
South of Russ Ours, old house.
Is the process, so I was looking at our proposed ordinances. How does it relate to what we currently have versus what we're moving towards? It almost looked like in our new ordinances, fitness establishments and instructional studios were to have one space per 3 persons permitted at max occupancy. It looks like that's what we were maybe moving toward in our new ordinances?
I think the new ordinances are less, they have less
They are,
parking
right.
requirements than the old, but
How
to
would this fit
Jace's
in with
point,
that?
the process that he's providing with tonight
Yep.
is what's outlined under your ordinance, and that was done in 2019.
I
And
get
think we
that.
have done it maybe once before, where we reduced the numbers, and all it is a resolution. So I drafted the resolution that says that the applicant followed the ordinance. They provided their study that says that other entities are X amount of spaces, which is something that they'd be more akin to, which I think is what, 4.3?
Yeah. 4,000 square feet.
And so that the resolution just outlines, here's what the ordinance says, here's what they did, this is what the city council approves.
So are we moving more towards what our current ordinances are gonna require, I guess is kind of my question.
Yes, this would be more in line with, I haven't ran the numbers for this one because I don't have the exact occupancy of the building because the new ordinance bases a lot on occupancy.
Because it looks like, yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't know what that is.
And I don't know what the occupancy of the building is. So
Okay.
once, kind of backtrack, but once this, if this is approved, then obviously let them know this is approved. And then they would come forward and go through the design review process with their site plan reflecting of that. And then this resolution would be provided to the Planning and Zoning Commission saying they were allowed to reduce their parking.
And then we have to be prepared to do that all the time going forward. I guess I was interested when it said based on other local jurisdictions and studies by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. I mean, do we have those documents?
I don't have the transportation of traffic engineers, and I can pull up the other local jurisdictions.
That lower parking is supported by the most recently published Institute of Traffic Engineer Parking Generation Manual. Is that what it says?
So what they're going by is the
That
market
lesser
study.
requirement is justified?
Wow.
Is that what it says in that, whatever that manual is?
That's if they can show that it does justify it. Now, the decision of is that actually justified or not, or does this need to be parked at what the city says, that's, in the way our ordinance is worded, is a council decision to do that.
I guess I'm just saying they're referencing that their evidence is on the manual, but I don't know what the manual says.
I think their evidence is the market study, which is, here's what other entities are
And it-
requiring for a similar type of use.
I haven't seen the market study.
So market study, I think they're just saying, in West Fargo, it's X amount per however many feet, and then Fargo is this. And so they said they would like it more closely to those entities.
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is I haven't seen the numbers though.
So,
I mean, I don't.
Jace, what was,
Jace has them. He's just pulling them
Jace, when you
up.
went through this though, I mean, as far as you were concerned, there's nothing,
I don't have any concerns with the
Right.
reduction. 96 on a building that size is a bit much.
It's a health club, which is an Anytime Fitness, which is a 24-hour deal, right?
And a copy.
And a coffee shop.
So this is the email with the summary of Fargo's 1 per 200 square feet, Moorhead's 1 per 250 square feet, and the traffic engineer manual currently states 4.3 per 1,000 square feet. with that, so they
So that's pretty in line.
figured it fell about the same.
And is that what we're veering more towards in our new ordinances? Are you just saying our current ordinances are a bit?
The current ordinances are high with what parking for the most part. But a lot of these have been doing, like the strip mall things, or haven't had a lot of intense commercial things that require a drastic amount of parking. So we haven't really run into this scenario a lot. And our current ordinance does attribute quite a bit of parking for health clubs, especially if they're more than 20 hour variety.
Because the old ordinance had
Right.
nothing, hardly at all in there for that, so.
The city council spent a brutal amount of time on parking.
Yes, we
That
did.
was, when its ordinance was done, so there was a lot of discussion on it.
Right.
And then it's like, it just seems like there's been this shift to require less spaces since the city council went through this, so that was in around 2019, so now it's.
But again,
4 years
we
later.
probably overcorrected a little bit for the sins of the past.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't mind coming back a little bit if that's indeed the case. that we
But
come
Councilmember
up with.
Landstrom, to your question, yeah, the new parking ordinance is shifting to be more in line with that, especially as that's kind of the trend with development and city planning. And as a whole is a reduction in parking and more reliance on either street parking or alternative forms of transportation, especially as the city's starting to build our shared use pathway network. We would hope that we would see, and the residential that's around it, we would hope to see people either bike or walk to some of these places rather than actual.
Right,
automobiles.
because the current streets that are in direct proximity there are 76th Avenue or private streets that are not wide enough for parking as it
Yeah.
is.
Correct.
So, I certainly wouldn't want to see any less than the 55. I'm more comfortable with like the 70 that's mentioned there, but when I look at the rates, 1 per 250 or 4.3 per 1,000 is actually higher than what we're seeing in neighboring communities. It'd be a different story if it was a restaurant next door and not a coffee shop, just because the foot numbers are a little different between the two. So I'm not opposed in this particular instance. Does that mean I want to set a precedence for this? Absolutely not.
I still think there's gonna be quite a bit, like Sarah pointed out, there's no parking on 76 on the residential. I don't know.
55 spots for an Anytime Fitness and a coffee shop. That's above and beyond.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay there.
I think we'll be okay for that.
Yep.
I look at the Grove and I look at, Tender Nutrition right next door, and I look at the hair salon where people are coming and going all day, and I know combined those don't have 55 spots, and there's always spots open there, so.
Jeff, what's your thoughts?
I'm okay with it. When I looked at the original layout of it, and they said they were gonna try to fit 90 spots in there, I didn't know how they'd actually do it. It'd be impossible. You wouldn't have a building at that point,
Mm-mm.
so.
All right, does somebody want to make a motion to accept the reduction resolution?
I'm okay with this one, I'll make that motion.
Sarah makes a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Jeff does a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Let's go on to the next one, Lost River Drainage and Maple Lake. Brent, you got this one. Or Lucas, one of you guys got it.
That's me, mate.
Did you say probably me?
I'd say probably you.
Oh.
Probably you more than
I
I could just touch
I
base
said
on it
probably
that
me.
for these two areas, Maple Lakes and Lost River Drainage, the deadline was October 11th. We did not receive response from Thompson Homes. We have asked that staff for Interstate to do a survey down the property line down Maple Lakes to see what's going on drainage-wise. I don't know if that survey has been completed yet.
Has
but,
not. I met with Councilor
that's
Trudeau
being worked
last
on.
Thursday to go over the extents and the areas of his concern. So
Really?
we had a good conversation walking up and down the area and taking a peek at it.
What did
So
you?
They didn't respond?
No response.
Are they still watering?
I drove by there today. I did not see water in the curbing in front of there. However,
The day that
I don't have it right now.
Recently?
Give me a second.
They did have the 2 point of contacts I know that we had and our staff has been working closely with are no longer with Thompson Homes. So I don't know if there's an issue there, but this isn't really our problem. They didn't respond on that of, you know, being able to have an appropriate person respond to us. But that's why we asked Interstate to do the survey and start looking at, okay, is there more going on or what? And
So-
define what's going on.
Sorry, so essentially the issue that we're having now is, in our letter, we said, stop the watering by October 11th, come up with a solution to remedy this issue. If you know, watering is the issue, that's just gonna keep happening, we're gonna deal with this issue next spring again. My concern now, or my issue now, is to take this to municipal court. We're gonna say exactly that. We're gonna say that we told them to have this done by this date, this done by that date. Well, our issue that we're running into is we're into October and November.
Yep.
Those issues are just gonna address themselves, where you're not gonna be able to see it. So that's why Interstate is going to look at this area and say, based off surveys, is there a solution that will reveal itself of, you know, does grading need to take place or whatever? And then my recommendation is, if we can have something where we can show this is what needs to be done to fix the issue at hand, then we'll put that in a letter to them saying get this done, or we'll take that to municipal court saying we gave them till October 11th to shut off the sprinklers and to come up with a solution. They didn't do it, so we think that this is the solution to remedy the issue. We would like to give them X amount of days to get this done. Will you provide an order saying that they have to do it?
Okay, or if an order is not provided, I assume we're gonna be keeping track of those costs and we will seek relief if it does go to municipal court for the additional costs for the city to have to go out and survey and do all of this corrective action because they did not respond. Yes or no?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll definitely keep track of that, because the other option too with this issue is district court. And that's something that we can certainly try to get in district court. I was hoping that they would at least respond.
Yep, it's so
but
much easier.
It sounds like you were out there and saw that they are still watering even.
So-
which I thought for sure they would stop
The
doing.
one house directly behind hers stopped watering. The one next door to that was still watering on the 11th. I have pictures of at least the sidewalk at about 7:30 in the morning. When we were out there, I believe they were not watering because the ditch or the problem area still exists. Is there water in her yard right now? No. She's tried to do what she can to help alleviate the problem, which is trying to mow the grass down, promote more growth. She pumped out her septic system to give that area a break. For the most part, Jim and I walked up and down that stretch. As they put in new houses, you're gonna continue to have this problem unless something is done. So my personal feeling is no matter what, the city's gonna have to have an engineer go out there and survey, figure out exactly what needs to be done, and get together with Thompson Homes and have them develop some sort of plan to fix it. With the way they're setting up homes right now, you know, a patchwork style, you know, as they sell homes and lots, if they don't do all of the lots at the same time, they're just lengthening out the problem. Because, you know, just because the guy did one lot, you know, in the middle, doesn't mean he did anything on either side of it, and your drainage problem will still exist. And I can foresee this problem happening in many more areas of town. I mean, whether it's Maple Lakes, Lost River, you know, heck, I can even see it probably happening out in Arrowwood if we have all these individual residents, you know, doing their own landscaping and sloping of their yards. So I'm not sure how we're going to tackle this problem.
I'm extremely disappointed that Thompson Homes did not respond to the letter. I guess I don't understand why they wouldn't respond. I want to take immediate action. It's unacceptable that they didn't even respond to the issue.
Okay. We're just having a discussion tonight though, unless you guys are getting an update, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best option right now is for us to see what that survey shows. Because, like I said, if I'm gonna take this to municipal court, I know what the judge is gonna be looking for, and that's, okay, well, what's the solution here then?
Right.
Instead of, you know, if I take it further, then it's, okay, we'll shut the sprinklers off. Well, they can do that, but then what if they start them up again? Then am I gonna have to go right back there? So if the issue is something related to the grading, or something that can be done, I'd like to be able to say that and then say, okay, Judge, they were supposed to come up with a solution by October 11th, they didn't do it. This is what we think the solution is. We're seeking either they get that done, or we would like to seek the administrative penalties that we can do, which is $500 a day that the violation continues, and then just stack the fine up every day that there's a violation, then it just gets levied against the property. And so, I mean, that's going to incentivize them to come up with a solution pretty quick.
My question for Breton, and so we figured out that the representatives we were talking to no longer exist with the company, but how did we do that without actually getting hold of the company?
We heard, well, our staff wasn't able to get a hold of them, and then they heard through the other builders what's going on. I believe Joel did reach out to others at Thompson, and we didn't get a response.
We did send a letter.
So, yeah, and we sent a letter to Thompson Homes. So,
Okay.
they did get a letter. He was trying to reach out, like calling or email, try to get a hold of somebody, and weren't getting a response. So, because we were told, what we heard through other builders was that Thompson Homes did a series of layoffs or letting go a handful of employees. So,
So the problem though exists with a subcontractor of theirs, right? That's the person who's doing the final grade. It still is gonna be Thompson's problem no matter what, whether it's, these people that were let go or not, it still bubbles up the chain to whoever's in charge over at Thompson. Okay. I haven't gotten there this week yet to see if there's, still watering going on. Obviously, I would have my suspicions, or, some of the other lots are. And like I said, just because they shut off the one house right behind hers, doesn't mean all the other ones aren't still adding water to it. It's the ongoing problem. So if we want to add addresses to that list, it starts becoming a problem down in other areas, how do you guys want to address it? Because they keep sodding more and more yards in that development right now.
I would look at Lucas.
Yeah, I mean,
this
this is
proper.
my concern is that you're saying this is going to continue to be a concern with other lots and not necessarily just this developer, this builder. And so then it's where it's going to have to figure out a way to handle this within the ordinance, which says if you have that issue going on, you're responsible for correcting it. And so then it's just whatever that correction is, give a time period. They have until that date to do it. If not, then we take it to court and have the judge figure out what they think the resolution is. If they believe the city in saying that they need to correct the grading or do whatever's going to fix it, they'll give them a date to do it by, and if they don't do it, then they're in violation of the judge's order.
So there's two other things that we mentioned before, and it's something that we'd be working towards over the off season here of construction. Really is there is what commonly referred to as the Four Corners survey. That should help if executed out properly by the builders. They have to prove then that they're at the appropriate grade that grading plan would show for that development. And then the other one, tiering water, which we do have the rate structure for it. I didn't realize we did. I didn't think we had it in there, but we do. Next year, Castle Rule, for example, has implemented a tier system depending on the usage. So the more water you use, the more you pay. The intent of it is to deter excessive watering, and if you do, you have a bigger bill. Those are a couple mechanisms that may help it. Is it going to completely solve the issue? I can't say yes or no, but those are avenues that do help. So typically your tiering for water impacts more your resident, like somebody actually into the new home, not owned by a builder, but somebody actually owning the home. They're going to see that water bill and go, oh, I'm going to tone down my water. That's a natural reaction for most people. Your Four Corners surveying should help, as long as that's done properly and at the right time.
We'd also like to make sure the sump pump discharge is going into appropriate piping. If we have it there in the new developments, why are we not using it?
So they do have, yeah, and that's the other mechanism we could do.
And it
is
needs
if
to
we
be
had
checked
some
by
kind of
our,
discharge.
for
So-
a final inspection. It needs to be
Yeah.
checked to make sure it has been done.
And that's where, in the ordinances, we're able to update that. Technically, right now, and my understanding is this is more of a concern or issue about overwatering, but I believe the ordinance is they are able to discharge to any drain or drainage area, and being that there's stormwater drains in the backyard, technically they'd be able to drain that way. It's just that, you know, I don't believe that is what's causing the issue. Haven't had any indication from our staff or engineering that it is.
Right. This is
So,
just-
but no, I see your point there.
Yep.
Yes. And that is the whole intention of the stormwater, or the sump pump line in the front of the houses in these new developments, is to get these people connected onto that, so we don't have this, you know, problems with sump pumps in the future.
And then is, for our folks in Lost River, is this a separate discussion or is it the same?
Similar.
Same issue.
Okay, but
Same.
who the parties were in that issue in
Yeah.
Lost River?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the people in Lost River, though, we have not set a date for Thompson.
They have the same
for that.
October.
They got the same.
They have the same
Yep.
date? Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Thompson is
Yeah.
also the one in Lost
Yeah,
River?
it's the
Okay, that's what I couldn't
same,
remember.
same builder,
Okay,
similar issue.
okay.
Ultimately, if it gets beyond, you know, what we're trying to address, anything beyond that, it starts, my understanding, I'd look at Lucas on this, but my understanding is it becomes more civil issue.
Well, yeah, so I mean, the way the
Between the
ordinance
two
is drafted
properties.
now, the auditor issues a letter, if they don't comply within the time frame, then the city attorney can prosecute in municipal court or seek abatement in district court. So right now, I'm just waiting to see what the engineer has to say, because my assumption, like, I would rather go to district court, I think, to seek abatement on this issue. And so if there is a solution, then I would like to know what that is, and then say, okay, district judge, we're seeking abatement, this is what we'd like to have done. So I just need information.
Yep.
So what's the deadline on that?
There's no deadline on that. Right now, what we've essentially allowed the city to do is direct me to then, well, I don't even need direction, it's I can now follow the ordinance and kind of take it from here, but I just need information from the city engineer on some
I just
staking.
worry about a natural year where we actually get rain. Which way is the water gonna go? Because we're just talking about overwatering yards, but we had such a dry year this year, we need to be careful about what's gonna happen in the spring. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I don't, that's why I'm concerned this whole time is not just telling them just stop watering. 'Cause that's not gonna resolve this issue.
Right.
So that's why I need
We
some-
also need to note that it's getting a little late in the year to be
Correct.
making corrections, because the ground's gonna be freezing soon unless there's something abnormal that happens. So unfortunately, we may be dealing with this in the spring, whether we want to or not.
So Jim, how long do you think it's gonna take you to get something to Lucas done?
We'll shoot for the next week or so.
Okay.
We talked about it last week, Tuesday, Friday, or Thursday, so
Yeah.
get it lined up, get through it.
We appreciate that.
Yep, just
Thank
gives
you
us an
very
idea on the
much.
time frame, so appreciate that.
Yep.
Lucas, keep us posted then. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Brent, you got the next
Okay,
one.
next one here. Yeah, the next one here, I guess I could direct it, so I can just go off of it, so. I put most of the conversation here, or that I had on here about, on a few slides, so a little easier to follow. We're looking at an update, or a resolution of fees amendment, or amendments to that. The resolution of fees outlines the different fees for services from the city, like this, in this case, would be for different utilities, water rate, solid waste, sewer, vector, forestry. Even has the street repair fee in there. That's what you have the handout in front of you before you. The main items we have, water rate, we need to determine the effective date for the water rate to be implemented, the new water rate. It's been implemented and pushed back over and over and over. The main intention of that was to have it be effective a few months after we've gone live with casserole water. And being that our original target, or our latest target was July 2023, we were not live at that time, so it's been delayed. Now we are live with casserole water. Our complaints of water have gone down drastically, which we're very appreciative of. The water projects are both operational. We're having water go through them now, or those areas. It's time we could implement that rate increase. So water rates, like I mentioned there, it was tied to the connection to casserole and the water line replacement. Well, it's substantially complete. It was delayed till 2023, and we're talking about 2 months, so I just get rid off what I had on there. What we're proposing is to have the increase effective come November 1, 2023. This would give us time on the next utility bill, the October utility bill, to note or put information, a heads up to residents saying, hey, the rate increase is going to be happening now, and it will be an upcoming bill. So it'd be a result of new water rates being reflective in the utility bill in December 2023. That would give people about 2 months to be able to adjust, month and a half, 2 months to be aware of that. We have communicated this many times, even in Horace happenings. We had articles talking about water. We've been beating the drum on this one. So rates would remain the same as previously approved, which I call for in the 2024 budget. And why I'm referring to that is we're not asking for council to change that rate increase. It's just the effective date. So what you see in front of you, the numbers haven't changed for the water side.
Do we really want to roll out an increase right before the Christmas holiday?
That would be council's decision. Typically, you get into the winter months, your water usage is a lot lower. So it does give people a little bit more time to adjust into that water rate. So that's, council would be your call. If you want us to do a water rate increase come the new year, what would you like us to do? So,
We started this process, what, 2020 you said?
2019.
2019?
Or 2020, 2019, right around that time frame.
Yeah, we kept
So-
pushing it off because we wanted to hook up to Cass Rural, and that took a
Yeah.
lot longer than it,
Yep.
and then get the water lines redone in town too. So I mean, we pushed this off for a few years.
The water usage is lower. We're getting into the lower usage months right now. So it does make it less painful, or I say less painful, easier to adjust. Where folks are going to feel that bigger increase is going to be as we get into late spring, early summer, and they start watering more and more and more. That's when you're going to notice it more. And I don't believe it would matter if you do it in December, January, or February. Folks are really going to notice a change come that time. So, what this does, it brings the base up from 1950 to 27 for most residential homes. Most residential homes are the 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch meter. That's your average home. If you're going beyond that, or bigger meter than that, like you go say the 1.5 inch, that's a big, big, big house. And their base rate for 1.5 inch is 53, for example. As you get into commercial, they have different base rates because they have bigger meters. Those meters are also a lot more expensive. Instead of a meter costing a couple $100, you're talking a couple $1,000 for some of these. And you get into the even bigger, that's a whole different world. Within this, we do have a tier system. I mentioned just a little bit ago. One deterrent for people excessive watering sometimes is through that tier system is mirroring Casserole's tier system. Like I said, we're not proposing any different numbers that we already have. It's just that tier 1 from May to September, that would be for 0 to 5,999 gallons is $540, 6,000 to 9,999, is $640, over 10,000 is $740. The average home, most, without watering your yard a lot or anything, you're under 6,000 gallons for the average home. My house, family 5, we're more around that 6,000. And then if you count our watering, it's a lot more than that, but that's to be expected, so. Just touch base on a couple of the pros and cons. The tier system, higher users, helps fund the system improvements, helps make your system more operational there. Could curb higher water usage in those summer months. Cost more customers is a con, and utility billing could be a little more confusing because you have that first 6,000 gallons are $540, the next 4,000 gallons are $640, and then after that $740. So it could get a little confusing when somebody's trying to backtrack their bill.
Refresh my memory, just to make sure that I'm up to speed on this, because I know we've talked about it a lot and gone back and forth. We're not talking massive changes here. We're talking $19 to $27 base. Talk to me about the changes, on the usage fee for the first 6,000 gallons. I mean, what is it now? What's it going to? I mean,
right now for the usage is $420.
And we're going to
$540. It goes to $540,
Okay.
and we originally had 3, so that $420 was halfway.
Yep.
And that was implemented once the water projects were committed going forward. The council chose to go halfway, saying we're not going to go all the way to that higher rate,
Which is fair.
until after the projects are done and people actually get to see more desirable water.
All right, well, what you're telling me is that this isn't gonna prevent people from getting Christmas presents for their kids, which is good.
Your average, and I'm really kind of roughing it here, the number, if you're looking at 5,000 gallons of water, you're looking at around $6 increase there, plus a 27 from 1950, so you're looking at around a $12 increase per month on the
Per
average
month.
bill.
All right, all
Under around 6,000 gallons.
right.
And I'm getting a ballpark, not a exact number. For solid waste, or any other questions regarding water? Some bouncing around there. Solid waste, the rate was $25.20, goes to $27. That was already accounted for in the 2024 budget. It was something that Matt and I stressed quite a bit within there. This is primarily due to our annual rate increase from waste management.
So this covers our
This
costs
covers
now?
our cost increase from waste management.
For garbage?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you said
Yep.
sewer, and I'm like, I didn't.
Solid waste, yeah.
Solid
Oh,
waste.
thank you, okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I should have said garbage, it's just that we
That's
say
okay.
under a fee,
Nope, I
the
got it.
resolution.
So we
there,
took an
solid waste.
increase and basically we're just passing it on. All
Yeah.
right, that's fair.
That's pretty much what we're doing there, and then it also helps us with the compost areas. We have more customers, helps us with that.
Okay.
So, yep. Those bins get used quite a bit, which is good. Overall, staff recommendation, we're recommending to approve the amendment to the resolution of fees that's proposed, increasing the solid waste fee to $27 per month, effective January 1, 2024. This syncs up with our budget, and what we are anticipating within our budget when council approved that. And the effective date increase for water rates in November 1, 2023.
And we're already paying the increased water rates
To
with
Cass
Cass
Rural,
Rural.
yes.
Okay.
Yep. If you want to sync these up and be all at the same time, say January 1, 2024, that's your call. Are we capable of doing that? Can. It's whatever you guys would like to do.
I guess I'm okay with the way it's presented up there, because, again, this has been going on for a
Yeah.
number of years, and we've eaten some costs here that it's time we can't do that anymore.
Either way,
Yeah, I know.
our intentions are the next utility bill to get good communication out, telling people, or just reminding people, hey,
Yep.
the rate increase is coming, we just need to know what date and when you guys want to go live.
Good.
Jeff, what do you want to do?
I'm fine with what's presented.
Okay, Stephanie?
I am too.
Okay.
Apologize, it wasn't the most exciting topic.
No, I'm okay with what's
Yeah.
presented, given the explanation provided.
All right, somebody want to make a motion then? To accept the rates on the dates?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Stephanie makes a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Jeff does a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Jim, you got the next one.
All right, Mr. Mayor, this item is an update to one that we had talked about probably about a month ago or so. So we had the sewer force main on the 76th Avenue roundabout. Public Works was able to isolate it and flop around the pipes just to eliminate the leak. Last Sunday, got a phone call that it was leaking again, so the second one is leaking. So that we're hoping would be more of a project that we could get to maybe in the spring, when it would coincide with some work on Conroe 17 is probably not going to happen. So we got the survey done last week. We got the specs here. I talked with a couple contractors about getting over there and getting to that. So the only thing that changes now, instead of fixing one pipe, we're fixing two. But I guess I'd rather fix both of them now than have one fixed and then have it leak again.
We're looking at doing this yet this year?
I have to, because
How
right now
soon?
it's just as soon as I can get these documents out.
Yep.
I mean, my God, we're running out of daylight here.
Yes, we are. So I talked to the contractor last Thursday about it. So they're over on, one I talked to, they happened to be in River's Edge, and they said they could
They're available?
free up a crew to come over there and do it. But I just gotta finish up the quote to get from them. The
Do
quote
you have to
documents
shut down
get
a
from them.
roundabout to do this?
So the southeast leg of the roundabout would be shut down through this work, because that's about where the leak is.
Yep.
So the detour that we're proposing right now is take Lakeview Drive over to, by basically Lakeview Drive back to 76th Avenue. You can take a right into Fargo, take a left, come back around and continue up County Road 17. So the other legs of the intersection, the roundabout should stay open, southbound and the westbound. Northbound would be the one that's affected. I guess that eastbound would have to come through, go south, come back around and that, but that's where we're at. So
But
I
we
did
gotta
talk a
get
little
that
bit-
done if we
I
have
did talk
both
a
of
little
them.
bit with county engineer this afternoon. He called me, just asked if he needed to be out here or not. But he just was questioning that we make sure we talk to his guys about the jointing when if the panels go back in because of the cracking. So.
Yep.
But like I said last time, the only two panels that aren't cracked on that whole roundabout are these two.
I know,
so
right?
It's just the way that it shakes out.
How
so.
long do you think it'll take?
We're hoping a week and a half, just
Okay.
because it's concrete going back in there.
Yeah.
And I mean, once you get the concrete out and get down there, it's not a long time to fix this. Just getting it prepped, put it back together, and get the concrete put in there. That's all that is. No action, nothing. Just not information
Okay.
tonight.
Thank you.
We want to make sure you knew what was going on there and what the liquid was on top.
The liquid is on top. You make it
Yeah.
sound like it's candy or something. Come on.
It's not fun.
That's as far out as it goes next
Okay.
Monday. 7 days. All right, Jim, you got the,
All right, we'll give kind of a Cliff Notes version of the construction projects, hit the high points, being that's kind of a off week for the meeting. So we do plan on going around and flying the drone if the weather allows in the next week and between the now and the next meeting, just to kind of show some of the things. Jason, you can put that up there. We did take the drone out last week and flew 66th Street, so that's where in the world is that? That's about Christensen Boulevard looking south, I believe. And then that is about the same spot, Christensen Boulevard looking north. So a lot has changed in the week since this has been taken. So pretty much all the concrete work minus the ADA ramps and that is done on the south of Christensen Boulevard. The trees have been installed, the boulevards have been black dirted. They're working on doing the street lighting and dragging the wires for that, and installing the street lights.
Are they planning to try to hydro seed yet this fall?
I will ask the question, I hadn't heard.
It's very
But-
late.
Right, so,
There was
it's
some-
dormant seeding right now,
Yeah.
I think is what it's
There
gonna
was some
boil down to.
done last week even.
Yeah.
Different areas, so.
Yeah, so it gets to be a dormant type of seed. I did follow up, the plan is to get those beacons installed before the freeze up.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank you. That's
Yep.
wonderful news.
They're gonna do,
for
there's some
safety of our
tie-ins on the
kids.
south side of 76th Avenue where they have to put in curb ramps. Those are gonna be done this Thursday and Friday when school's out of session. I
Perfect.
plan to do those. I work on 76th Avenue when school is out of session, so. We'll drop back to the south, nothing new to report on the latest states. The Lomar application is being reviewed for submittal. Vistos machine pours are done. Right now it's just up to hand pours, radiuses, that type of stuff, so.
How'd that go? I haven't been
They
down there
pushed
lately.
pretty doggone hard. They had a lot of pours and a lot of big ones.
I'll drive out there tomorrow.
800, 900,000 yard pours, and it wasn't, pave and then wait a day and another day and then pave. It was pave, knowing the urgency of getting it done. And
How does
they were
it
just
look?
rolling trucks.
yeah, the first day that they were able to get started, because they got kind of delayed with the weather and everything, I
Yep.
think 15 trucks were out there at one time, so they had plenty to keep them busy. So they are gonna start topsoiling and doing some of that other work around the west side here this week. 66th Street, the first pave is scheduled for tomorrow and Wednesday. Concrete curb tomorrow, and then Wednesday would be the first pave on that one. So contractor's quite a bit ahead on that project because we didn't specify that the paving had to be done this year. That was just get the utilities done and then get the base on it, so.
63rd, you mean?
63rd, I mean, yep. 66th and 63rd, I get them.
It's all right,
I
I'm
get
just
'em
making sure I
backwards.
got it right, because I'm
Yeah.
going, what are we paving on 66?
No, 63rd, and that's gonna be a big pour too. Cub Creek is progressing along, the trees are all planted. There's some work on the east side of the drain that needs to be done. And then along the pond lot, there's some stuff around the pond, but they're making some pretty good headway on that. Wall Avenue East, I don't know if you've seen that, they've done quite a bit of topsoiling. The only thing remaining on that is the retaining wall. I believe they're gonna finish that up today. When I came down for the meeting, they're putting the gravel base in for the sidewalk on top of that retaining wall. So
Nice.
that project looks really good right now. Street lighting still has to go in, but they're going forward with that. It is lit right now with the old Cobra heads, so, but, Wall West, a lot of hand pours. They did the machine pours over the past 2 weeks, just tying everything together and trying to maintain access to everybody along that Westbrook, Lazy, that whole area, trying to get all that together. So, I haven't been as much in there, but I'd like to take the drone out, take it, get us from that, so we'll have some more stuff for you on that next.
They still got the entrance
couple
in the
weeks.
Lost River to work on that.
Yeah, there was, believe it or not, it's a low spot there, so all the water happens to collect there.
Go
and which
figure.
turns it a little bit muddy, so
Yeah.
they've been working on drying that out and going from there. River's Edge second, they've got,
Before you go past Wall, are they
Okay.
still on track for their dates?
they're gonna be behind a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit, from what we had,
Just on west.
Wall West. Wall East, actually, we're a little bit behind on that one too, but it's not,
I know they lost several days due to weather, so I
Yes,
can understand
yes.
a little bit.
and they've put the pedal to the metal on that. There
All
wasn't
right.
a lot of downtime. There were some utility conflicts in there too that slowed them down.
That's
So
fair, I
there's
just want to
some-
make sure we're tracking.
Yeah, yeah. River's Edge second, I think there's 4 crews out there right now,
Mhm.
so they're really moving along with.
Playing in the sandbox, man. Everybody's out there.
Yeah,
crazy.
it's a big enough project where they don't have to play nice either, they can just go to their own corners.
Right, that's what I said,
Go to
just
their own
spread out.
corners and do their work, so.
Crazy.
Center Avenue is done, shared use path is done, we just have to verify the grades along there and do a final inspection on that, so. You'll see some stuff coming in November right away on projects for next year as we plan ahead to try to get ahead of some of these projects, so.
Cool.
Kind of a short report tonight, you did show the pictures, so we're good with that, so.
Any questions for Jim?
No, that's all right.
Did you get your punch list put together for Maple Lakes?
Did I get my what list?
The punch list?
The punch list?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it
Okay.
done yet? No.
Got it. Yeah.
And I think the new pedestrian path along Cass 17, north of 76 is done.
Yeah, that's what, the shared use path phase 3 is what it is, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, Jim, thank you much. Brenton?
Okay, first one I have in regards to, which I'll touch base on here first, is receptionist position filled. The position was accepted by an individual named Catherine Anderson. She started today, but really we'll get into the full swing of things next week. So she start today and then she'll be back in on Friday, but then we'll really get into the full work schedule next week. So we're excited to have her in that position. She's getting acclimated already. Also, site visits. If any of these projects are interested, just you want to get a sneak peek of what they're looking like or how it's coming along, let us know. I can always coordinate, connect you with Jim or Joel or one of the Public Works guys or myself. Somebody could show you how it's coming together. I just want to offer that out to the council members, so if you want to see it, let us know. It is interesting to see what sites look like and how it's coming all together, and it's kind of eye-opening what all has been accomplished when you can actually see it with your own eyes. Now, granted, when the project opens up, you go out there too, but if you want to go out there beforehand, just let us know, and I'll talk with our staff. So, also in regards to site visits, we don't have it locked down yet, but it's looking like Colliers and potentially some investors for different bonds that we do are looking at doing a site visit towards the end of next week. Matt, have you heard anything different from them, or have they done that yet?
No, we're still
No.
have placeholders for
Uh,
Friday.
Yeah, they're looking at next Thursday or Friday, where I'll show them around, show them the different things that are happening around town, so they can kind of visually grasp what's happening in Horace. So that helps them understand everything. There is likely, Paul, correct me here, likely a special session for the legislators starting next week, is what it's looking like. So that will be interesting, and we're trying to pay attention to what's going on there. That will be in regards to their budget and appropriations bill, but it has the potential where it could go who knows where for other items. So we'll see. We're trying to pay attention and see if they're going to just focus on the appropriations bill or what they're going to do. So, yeah, I'm waiting. I don't know what else is going to happen on that one, so we're trying to be on guard. And then the last item I had is if Paul has been working on getting a Halloween event together. If you could touch base on that real quick, Paul, just
Yeah.
can you give them a highlight of what we're
Yeah,
looking
so
at doing?
we are a go for it. It's going to take place on October 27th. The only issues that we were having were it was such a success last year that we ran out of room at the senior center.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent the last month coordinating with West Fargo Public Schools to see if we can use one of our schools for it. We've settled on the elementary, and so now we are piecing together the rest of it. So we will be having an event. It'll be nice, really close to Horace Lutheran Church's trunk or treats. It will be a fun little into the week next week to get that going. Or sorry, 25th and 27th. It'll be a fun couple days there. Our Halloween and Horace event. So
Cool. Good.
That's awesome. Paul, will you kindly make sure that we include a parking plan for people? I
that
know.
was one of the hang-ups along with fire code violation, potential fire code violation from last year. So
Right.
that is a focus. We had thought we could do it maybe at the middle school so that there was no parking issues, but with the elementary school there will be. So we had thought about doing our own trunk or treat in the elementary school parking lot, but we are going to because we need those 35 spots on the east side. So
It's not gonna be enough.
No.
we're working on some solutions.
Okay.
If we have to, I did rent out both the middle school and elementary school, which is why we haven't really launched it yet. But we are working on those solutions, so we're going to have to figure it out. But it is popular, which is a good thing. We just need to find a space that can accommodate it. So
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Appreciate your efforts there. Thank you.
That's all I had.
So you got, all right. All right, so on the portfolio reports, last Wednesday, we had a meeting. Cass County Commissioner Tony Grinberg put together a group, it's the Joint Development Association. Basically, it's a Cass County Economic Development type group. We met out in Castleton. There were a bunch of different players at the table kind of talking about what they'd like to do as far as economic development for the county. Good first session. I'm going to try and sit in on the rest of these meetings that we have because I think they've got a good idea going here. So we'll see where that goes. Thursday, there's a chamber group that meets, kind of like a governmental group. We kind of go over different things. And one of the things we brought up was special session. And yeah, that can go one of two ways. It's either going to follow the script like it's supposed to, and they just stick with their appropriations, or it's going to be open the floodgates and everybody's going to come in with their wants and needs. We're going to have to pay attention to that because if they are going to open up the gates, we might have to make a quick trip out to Bismarck and get up and do some testifying. So just be aware of that whenever this gets going. We got Plan B coming into play. The other thing we got brought up that day was the property tax initiative that Rick Becker is trying to get signatures for right now. It's been expressed that that could be problematic to different jurisdictions that are that use property taxes for some of their budgeting. So we're going to have to pay attention to that and see where that's going to go. The other thing too is going to bring up the Lions Club in town here does senior posters. Have been doing that ever since COVID started. We are starting to run into what I knew was gonna happen. We're gonna have 109 seniors this year. I don't think we got enough poles.
We
in
need
town.
more light poles.
The other thing is too, those banners now, if we're gonna do that many, it's gonna run around 15K. Not gonna be cheap anymore. So I'll be at the next board of directors meeting with the Lions Club. We're gonna talk about that, but I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention that it is suddenly gotten about where we thought it was gonna happen at some point where we're not gonna be able to do this much longer. So heads up on that. And that's all I've got. So Sarah, what do you got?
Wow, that's kind of a bummer. I wanna keep doing that. I love our parade. I love that.
We'll maybe have to do plan B with something, I don't know. Just like I said, this is gonna get to, we knew it was gonna get to here at some
I
point,
know.
and I think we might be there.
It's part of our small town appeal.
Yep.
Anyway, okay. I just have a couple updates, and a couple things I wanted to ask about. So I was able to get around to several of the projects, and Jim, you're dead on. I appreciate your updates. I hadn't gotten down to Vistos. I will get down there tomorrow. Chestnut Ironwood Blacktop. I didn't hear any more on that, and I
So
was curious.
there's one spot in there where they actually came back today to rip it out and redo the driveway on the.
Okay, good,
the one
because I
bad
was there
spot.
over the weekend, and I was
Yep.
wondering
No,
what the
they showed up
status.
today. We've had it marked for about a week now, and they had it. And then there's a spot across the street that we gotta do a little more thinking on, because there's not a good solution for it. So we looked at it this afternoon and, need to come up with something else. But the one that has been all over social media is being fixed as we speak.
Appreciate it. Keep me posted on that. Pumps and panels.
As far as,
Do we
like,
have
getting them?
do we have resolution?
Which one are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the panel that we were having issues with.
Yes, it's a different one now.
Okay.
It's a breaker with a air, for the aerator. There's some concern that the breaker is not the right size in the panel that the aerator company supplied.
Okay,
So they're checking their loading on it, I guess is what I was told last Thursday.
okay,
Because I had a loose ends meeting with the contractors last Thursday.
awesome. Public Works is firing up for winter and planning a number of things. I know we have some equipment. Brenton just wanted to shoot out a happy hello to all of our folks in Public Works and let them know that they have our support as they work through some of the challenges that will face us this coming winter. We're hoping that we have another month or two before we have to deal with any snow, but making sure that everything's winterized and that we've had those discussions is a really big deal. So also coming up and in conjunction with some of the state stuff and MetroCog, I've had a lot of people asking what part of County 17 is going to be closed next year. There was some people that were pretty disappointed with the fact that it was closed this year and that there's going to be more work done by the county next year. I was told a portion of it would be closed.
The portion that's closed would be up by the 52nd Avenue roundabout. The rest of it,
There's
the
no-
mill and overlay won't close it, they'll do that under traffic.
They'll do that under traffic?
Yeah,
I want to make
Mill and
sure.
fill, they don't have the plans even started on that one yet. I asked last week,
Good.
county, to see if they had anything going on it yet, and as soon as this road that opens up tomorrow supposedly.
Yep.
County 17 is supposed to open tomorrow. As soon as they get that done, that frees up their engineer to start working on the mill and fill for 17, but typically those are done under load.
Okay. I
So
want to
that's-
confirm that.
I'll
because-
follow up with it, but typically those are done with just little lane closures here and there.
Good. I know
do it.
that with the schools, there's some concern about detours and
Sure.
whatnot. So I know that's next year, but it's something we want to be planning for and we want to get the word out as it comes. So, and with that, obviously, you stole my thunder, Jim. County
No.
17 is opening tomorrow and we're really excited. We've been waiting for that all summer. 5 months under construction, so pretty happy that that's getting done.
Is it gonna be open for the morning rush north?
I haven't heard
Okay,
about that.
I haven't heard either, so.
It's just Tuesday.
Paul, you haven't got any fan mail from the county on that?
No.
Okay. Sorry, anything else?
No, that's all I got.
All right, Stephanie, what do you got?
I just have that we are working on our Halloween event, and we've been hard at work at that, and that's been the focus.
Okay. Jeff?
We have a MetroCog meeting on Thursday. There's not much we're gonna go over. I sent Brent a awareness email as to some of the delays on some of the tip stuff. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot besides the hiring of our new receptionist position. That's it.
Which is good. I got one last thing, Jim, I forgot to ask you. Remember a while back here when we were talking to Fargo, when they're bringing down their sewer pipes, are they bringing them down to 76, or are they gonna stop at 64th?
It would be, they're at 64th right now. From what I gather, it's halfway to 76 is the next phase.
Okay.
So that,
Okay, just trying to think here on some stuff, so that's what I just wanted to know. All right, thank you.
yep. And CWSRF, which the Clean Water funds those projects, the updates are due in the 2nd of November, so I can get those done and get your signatures on that. We put the drinking water ones in
Yep.
the beginning of this month.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
be on
cool.
their intended use plans.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Awesome.
I did have one more item for
Go.
you. Just so the council knows, street sweeper came in last week. So the new
Cool.
street sweeper is in, and I saw it out sweeping earlier today. I saw him out driving it.
Who
so-
took it out for a spin?
I didn't take it for a spin. There is a extra seat there, so if you wanna go for a ride. in the
Hey,
street
jump seat,
it's
man.
there's a jump seat.
I
Sarah?
have keys for everything.
Anyways, just wanna let everybody know what they come in last week.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna go into executive session. So executive session held pursuant to NDCC 4-04-19.1 to discuss negotiating strategy for the purchase of real property related to BNSF railroad property. Okay, let's take 5 minutes and then we'll come back.
Poor mess. I don't think that's it. Yeah, they should have. I'm gonna wait to just kill
Adam's going around and shutting all his phones off, right?